Hey guys, it's Kelsey, and I'm back with layout 3 for How to Kill a Kit with Style November. So for this one, I wanted to do something a little different than the past two layouts. I really wanted to take inspiration from someone else to really get me to do a different style. So this is a layout from Shamel Lane. I really like the way she did the design, so that's kind of where I'm starting. I know I want a background, a large rectangular piece across the top third of the page, and then some photos in the cluster with title, and then just basically copying what she did. So we are starting out trying to find a background and then trying to find what I want to use for the big rectangular chunk. That's where I'm starting. I really like this green paper with the dark green paper. This is one of my favorites in the collection. Definitely my favorite solid kind of colored paper in this collection. So that's going to be my background. I think that tone is so rich and lush. So with that being a more monochromatic page, I did just go ahead and decide to do this rainbow honeycomb pattern as the large piece across the top. So I think that looks really fun. I really like that contrast. So these are two photos from the rainforest tour we went to on Maui. I did just trim them down to squares similar to how Shamel did it on hers. And then she just had them individually matted and then a couple like rectangular mats behind them. So that's kind of what I'm starting with. I decided to mat both of them on some red paper from the 6x8 paper pad, and then, excuse me, mat both of them on the teal paper from the 6x8 paper pad. So I'm really enjoying having both paper pads to work with because like you guys know, it's really hard for me to cut into a 12x12 for a small piece of paper to use in layers. So having a 6x8 paper pad that's basically scraps already gives me that freedom to do these layers and not have to cut into a 12x12. So that's really appreciated. I kind of love that I have both of those to pick from. I'm thinking I'll use this scrap of this green leafy paper as the first rectangular layer, but then I go back for this teal paper, and I really like that contrast too. This teal is really lush and rich too, so I really liked how that looked, especially against the other colors that it's against. So that red on this teal just looks so cool. So that's going to be the first mat. I know I want at least another mat behind that. But before I went any further, I figured I'd go ahead and glue down this background piece. I know that's where it's going to go. Shamel also had kind of a horizontal border strip going across the bottom part of that large rectangular piece. So in my mind, I know I need to do that as well. But she had a few square layers behind these layers, so I'm trying to figure out if I want to copy that, but this kind of just looks weird to me. I don't know if it was my paper choices, but and my photos are a little larger than hers, so the proportions are way bigger, and I didn't like how much room that took out up there because I really liked having this open space below the photos. So I decided not to in the end. I do go back and find a scrap of something else to kind of add as a layer, but it's not a big layer the way the Shamel did hers. I'm still trying to. I'm still pulling out more papers to try and do the same layering that she did, but just proportionally it didn't end up working well, so I forget about that in a minute. There we go. I did have a scrap of this hexagon paper from what I trimmed from the top, and I decided that I was going to place that in the bottom right hand corner to kind of balance that pattern, but that automatically gives me a little embellishment cluster site. So I really like that. I don't think Shamel had that in her design, but she does have journaling on the right hand side of the photos in that empty space going down to the bottom of the page. So I thought that would be nice if I did journaling there, having it run all the way to an embellishment cluster. So having this base for a cluster, I thought looked really cool. And I like having that pattern in two areas, so that helped. Here I'm going to fussy cut really quick. I pulled out a cut apart sheet from the 6x8 paper pad. I fussy cut this little arrow that says love this. Or heart this, however you want to say that. And I was just trying to play around with where I would want it. I wasn't sure if I'd use it on this page or not, but after I tucked it in under this flower picture pointing down towards the little rectangle on the bottom of the page, I thought that was a really cool way to connect the photos with the embellishment cluster on the bottom. So that's staying, and then I could not say no to these cute little butterflies, so I fussy cut those as well and figured, hey, there's three visual triangle. I know that there can be one in three different spots, and that'll kind of take care of that. So they're laying pretty much where I'm thinking my visual triangle will be. And now I need that horizontal strip that I know is going to run underneath this large rectangular piece. So I did find a cut apart. It said high, and then it had a fishtail banner coming off the side, but I cut the high off because it was in craft color and just made it a double-sided fishtail banner. So that's going to run across the whole page behind the photos. I like how that kind of ends the top pattern paper and then runs into the rest of the page. So I also like that my little butterfly there on the left has a little place to sit. It's kind of going to anchor that embellishment cluster over on the left-hand side. So right now I'm trying to fill out the rest of my embellishment clusters. I really liked how I used the frames to do this on my last layout. So you see me going through all the frames and trying to do a similar thing. But they just weren't working. So I kind of decide, okay, that's not going to work. What else can I do? And you just see me digging through all my embellishment to kind of get some ideas. I always go to my die cuts first for my embellishment clusters, and I forget about my stickers and my chipboard stickers. So again, trying to go back through my paper ephemera, not even looking at my sticker sheets yet. So it takes me a minute to play around and kind of you have other embellishments you can use, lady. So just nothing is really working how I want. But eventually I will remember I have other things to choose from. And then that kind of helps me get going. But for now, I'm just going to look through all the embellishment because why not? I thought about adding banners or tags or something, which wouldn't have been bad ideas. Just wasn't working. I also had 3 of these crafty labels, so I was like, oh, I can use those in each of the 3 areas too. But I didn't really want to introduce the craft on this one because I did so much craft colored stuff on the last one, and this one just seems like a different vibe. Again, trying every single tag to see if they'll fit. Sometimes you just gotta put it there just so you know that the answer is no, though. And I'm gonna do that with every single embellishment. I'm still pulling out things I think I might use, which is really helpful when you're making a page to go through and just pull out what you think you use and then the definite no's, put them back, just so you're kind of consolidating what you have to choose from. But I don't even think I use any of that stuff that I pull out. I did have this little scallopy circle fall out of my paper pad, and I was like, oh, I could punch something to go behind the butterflies. And then after I realized that, I didn't want the orange that I already had, but there's the red of the heart that's in this arrow. So I have a scrap of red already, so I decided I would do this little scallopy border punch with the red. So I think at first I'm going to take this navy scrap, this dark blue scrap, and do a little scallopy border punch to go along the red banner. I think I wanted something dark because this arrow that says love this is the only really dark thing on the page. So I knew if I was going to use it, which I really wanted to, I wanted there to be other dark things to kind of make it make sense. So I already have a scrap of this really dark blue. That was the back side of that honeycomb pattern. So I just did a border punch. I'm going to tuck that up under the red banner, and I really like that it kind of adds that dark element there. It also adds a really cute border, so that always helps. So I'm going to tuck that up under there. Maybe if I can. I struggled a little bit with getting it tucked up under there, but I really like what that adds. And then I even do go back with another scrap of that same dark navy paper, and I add it top and bottom to my little photo cluster to make it look more layery too, and then that brings that color in even more, so that's nice. This page already kind of looks dark with this dark green, but I thought it could handle it because you have this very colorful mixed media typed pattern on here, and the photos are very bright, at least the one of this flower, so I figured it would be fine. But you see how I tucked that dark piece in right there? I just thought that was a nice little anchoring layer, so I cut it into 2 pieces. I'm going to glue that top and bottom of those, and I like that extra layer, so I really want to do more layery layouts this month with this collection. I don't think I've really done them yet, so this helped a little bit by adding something else on here, so I like that. I also put this little arrow that says love this over the dark layer and tucked it up under the teal layer, and I think that looks cool. It's kind of running out from those layers down towards the bottom cluster. So I like that too. Again, I'm trying to layer more. I just want a lot of layers behind these photos, but it's just not really needed. If I would have shrunk these photos down more, I think I could have done a lot more layering, but I didn't want to cover up too much more of this honeycomb paper, because that's really like a focal point for this page. I want you, when you look at this, you see these photos on this, honeycomb paper and like, oh, wow. But yeah, I'm still trying to layer, but I'm not going to. There was a lot of hemming and hawing on this layout, if you couldn't tell, about these layers, about the ephemera. But I eventually get there, so just hang in with me a little longer, and I think I figure it out. Here I finally pull in the other ephemera pieces that were sitting right next to me. So I have 2 sheets of this chipboard. I really like this black one. It says "Days Like This Make Life Sweet," and the word "sweet" is in that really cool rainbow gold holographic. And I think I wanted another black element there, and that kind of ties the left-hand embellishment into the photos. So I kind of like how that connected everything, but brought another dark element that had a bright aspect, because yes, it's a black arrow banner thing, but it has white text in this really bright rainbow holographic, so it's not like it gets lost or it makes it too dark. So that's going there. I'm going to go ahead and glue down these photo layers. I've kind of come to the decision that I do not need to add any more paper layers. It's fine. And then I had these floral clusters, I guess, on the sticker sheet, the flat sticker sheet. So I figured I would try tucking those behind the butterflies, and I really liked it. So what do you know? If I just would have looked at the rest of my embellishment, I would have saved myself a lot of time. But I just tucked a blue one behind this red butterfly and I think pink or red floral cluster up behind the butterfly on the top right. I thought about putting one also down by the blue butterfly, but the only floral cluster left was the sunflower one. And I kind of felt like it was a different style, and I didn't want to bring yellow in really. So I don't have a floral cluster for the bottom. But I like what that adds. It looks like it adds a lot more layers than just being one sticker, because it's already like a lot of things within the sticker. So that's nice. And then I did finally go back and just do some scallop circle punches on this black, and I tucked that into each corner as well. So I think that makes a cute little filled out cluster. Like, it's not too much, but there's enough going on to where it's interesting. And there's similar elements within each cluster to where they all tie together. So I really like that. And then there's also, because I bought in this banner that has the holographic suite written on it, I wanted to bring in a few other holographic elements just so that wasn't the only thing. And there are some holographic plus signs on the chipboard, so I just put one of those in each cluster as well, just so the holographic didn't look like it wasn't supposed to be there. So there's all my clusters at least, so I like that. And then now I know my journaling is going to go up underneath the banner on the right hand of the photos all the way down to this bottom cluster. You did see me scooch over the butterfly from the right hand side of that lower cluster towards the left hand side, so it ties in with that arrow. And now I'm just going to draw my lines really quick in white and do my journaling. So this, I said, we learned so much about Hawaii and its plants. We even found 2 edible exotic blooms, torch ginger, which tasted like apple skin, and vervain, which tasted like mushrooms. So cool, which it was really cool. It was really interesting. It's weird because it's one of those things like you wouldn't think, like for vervain, for instance, like it's this tiny little purple flower. Like itty bitty tiny little cute purple flower, but you taste it and it tastes like you're eating like a mushroom. And it's just weird because it tastes so much different than you would think it would. It even had the same texture of a mushroom when you ate it, but didn't look like it would. So that was really cool. And same with torch ginger. Like if you Google pictures of torch ginger, like it's a bloom that kind of looks like a pineapple, but not really. But the little petals, when it gets to a certain point, you can eat, and it tastes like you're eating like the skin of an apple. Like it has that sweetness, but it kind of has that texture. It was just so cool. So that was really fun. That was one of the things I really wanted to do on this tour, was to try some edible, like local plants. So that's cool. Which I didn't know this, but our tour guide told us that there are no poisonous botany, like plants on Hawaii, at least like consumption wise. Like there might be something if you touch it, it's poisonous like to your skin, but there's nothing that if you eat is poisonous. So that's kind of good to know. You still should not eat anything you don't you don't know is safe. But that's interesting little tidbit. So, and this flower in this photo, I think it's a type of hibiscus, I'm pretty sure, but I forgot the type she said it was called, but it changes color throughout the day and the blooms only last a day. So it starts out, I believe it starts out red, and then through the progression of the day it'll turn orange and then yellow and then fall off. So you can kind of tell time by the shade of the flower, because as you can see, this one is very red still, and some of the petals kind of started to turn orange, but that's really cool too. So she told us we can pluck all these flowers that we see because they'll be gone by tomorrow, so that's kind of nice. I ended up putting this one in my hair for a while until it fell apart on me. But yeah, now I need my title. Shamel had her title running up under the photos going towards the journaling, so I really like that. I wanted something black to kind of pull in the other black elements, and I kind of want it to be something that says something Hawaiian for whatever reason. Excuse me, I was having a hard time thinking of something. So this word here means story in Hawaiian. I think it's called mo'olelo. Did I say that right? Probably not. Anyways, it means story in Hawaii. So I figured with it running over this other arrow that says love this, it kind of could read love this story. In my mind, that's how I'm reading it. I think that's really cool. Someone who looks at it will see a Hawaiian word and be like, oh, it's Hawaii, and that'll be it. They'll read the journaling and see our experience. But I kind of like that there's this double meaning to me, and I really like how it runs into this arrow and could be read that way. That's how I'll read it, at least. And then I thought I was pretty much done. I really wanted to add some black stitching to a few areas. I did this little zigzag stitch below the title, but then I ran out of thread. I would have liked to add a little bit of zigzag stitching into the other quadrants or the other little clusters as well, but at least I had enough to do the title. Anyway, so this is the end. I did add a few more chipboard stickers to a couple clusters just so there's black in each cluster as well, but that is it. So thank you guys so much for watching. I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye.